Tonight on Cronkite News, organizations across the valley are protesting the hundreds of arrests involving immigration raids.
Plus, a big development in the president's plan to impose tariffs on several countries that could increase the price of groceries.
And the WM Phoenix Open tees off this week. Stay tuned for a look at what's new to this year's tournament after last year's mishaps. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Leah Phillips.
And I'm Jacob Seaver. Thank you for joining us. We begin tonight with the recent arrests of migrants in Arizona. These arrests have sparked protests, with activists uniting to defend the undocumented community.
Cronkite News reporter Isaiah Sotos joins us now in the newsroom to tell us what their plan is going forward.
Advocacy organizations are uniting people and aim to provide a network of help and awareness to the undocumented community in Arizona. Demonstrations against the Trump administration's immigration policies are occurring in various areas throughout the valley.
He's just getting rid of rights for so many people, not just immigrants, but people of the LGBTQ community, Black community.
Arizona DEA said on Sunday that it's working with the Department of Justice and Department of Homeland Security with immigration efforts, according to a post on X. Several advocacy groups in Phoenix say they're creating a defense network to protect undocumented people against ICE raids. Dona Tierra, a community group based in Phoenix, held a meeting with other advocacy groups in the valley to generate ideas on how to provide assistance and education against the immigration policies. Other community groups like Puente Arizona are creating a hotline to report ICE activity, as well as providing educational training on how to handle a possible visit by ICE agents.
What works is we want folks to, if they do see something, some type of activity with any undercover law enforcement or any law enforcement, that they can contact us. They can send us a picture, they can send us details, and we want to be able to verify the information versus just putting it on social media and creating that panic.
ACLU Arizona released a guide on their website on what to do in case you're approached by an immigration agent. Stay calm. Don't run, argue, resist, or obstruct the officer. Keep your hands where police can see them. Don't lie about your status or provide false documents. At this time, activists are recommending people to remain calm and stay informed.
Everything is really scary right now. I know that. It's happening very quickly as well. But I think that people shouldn't burn out. I know I do that sometimes when I hear a lot of what's going on.
Organizers and protesters recognize the need for swift action, but the specifics of the deportation efforts remain uncertain. For Cronkite News, I'm Isaiah Soto.
Thank you, Isaiah. President Trump's tariff on Mexico will now be delayed for 1 month, just hours before it was set to take effect. This comes after Mexico and the United States agreed to suspend the planned tariff. In addition, Mexico agreed to place 10,000 National Guard members at the U.S.-Mexico border to address drug trafficking. Over the weekend, President Trump announced he would be imposing new tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China. The planned tariffs on Canada and China will still go into effect at midnight tonight. Earlier, Mexico's president spoke about the pause.
We finally reached an agreement that is to place more National Guards on the northern border to protect it and prevent drug trafficking, and in particular, trafficking of fentanyl from Mexico to the United States.
Here in the United States, or here in the Valley, Arizona, Governor Katie Hobbs said those tariffs could bring up costs and harm the local economy. In the statement, Hobbs said, quote, "These new taxes threaten to hike grocery and gas prices. They threaten the cost of housing, and they threaten critical Arizona industries that employ thousands of people." She then pleaded with President Trump to reconsider the actions, which Hobbs said, quote, "could have a devastating impact on our state's economy."
The Arizona Department of Transportation is launching a new initiative to help truckers find safe parking along Interstate 10. A poll by the I-10 Corridor Coalition found that 80% of truckers spend more than 30 minutes looking for safe parking. Signs along the I-10 corridor will provide real-time information on the number of parking spaces available. This initiative is part of a $13.7 million effort by the U.S. Department of Transportation to provide truck drivers and other motorists with accurate parking information in California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas.
The 35th annual Lunar New Year Festival brings the community from diverse backgrounds together. Cronkite News reporter Alana Goodman tells us how the festivities take place at Steel Indian School Park.
Bright colors surround people as they watch the lion dance and the dragon dance, part of the New Year Festival hosted by the Phoenix Chinese Week.
Dragon dance, which is a 10-person dragon dance there, and it represents energy, good luck for the year, and takes a lot of teamwork.
According to the World Population Review, Asians make up about 4.5% of the Arizona population. This festival serves as a perfect example of how art joins the community.
I love how the ink just kind of like melts into the paper, and I have a tattoo that's like kind of just like random splashing.
Every year, a different animal represents the Lunar New Year based on the 5 elements in Chinese culture: earth, wood, fire, water, and metal. This year, the snake is selected as the animal, symbolizing mystery, intelligence, and renewal. Joseph Eager performs the snake dance and the lion dance at the festival.
Represents a renewal, a new vigor in approaching the year ahead. And it's a very, very lucky in Chinese.
The New Year allows people to experience something new. And at the Phoenix Festival, people from many different cultures came to experience something they haven't tried before. In Phoenix, Alana Goodman, Cronkite News.
And coming up next, a look at headlines from across the country. Destructive wildfires in Southern California destroyed many communities.
However, the federal government is providing assistance to help those who need it most. When we come back, find out how FEMA is assisting people at the Disaster Recovery Center in one of the hardest hit communities.
Plus, after what feels like months of really cold weather here, things are finally heating up in the valley. Find out what we can expect for the rest of the week when we return. Welcome back. After weeks of devastation, residents of the fire-damaged communities in Los Angeles are finally getting some relief.
Cronkite News reporter Zach Bradshaw tells us how the federal government is providing assistance to those in need.
January fires in Southern California are leaving entire neighborhoods devastated, including this one in Altadena. But the federal government is stepping up to provide relief for those who need it most.
We want to move with compassion. We want to move with a sense of urgency.
Early estimates show that over 9,000 structures were burned across Altadena and Pasadena. And for that, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, has opened up a third relief center in the area to help those who are impacted by the fires.
Lines are growing rapidly here at the FEMA State Disaster Recovery Center, recently opened up in Altadena, California. The fires right now are near containment, but relief efforts are only ramping up. People can go here to get the funds and the help they desperately need in this trying time.
Beyond money, FEMA has experts on hand to help with documents and other necessities that may have been lost in the flames.
We have
from vehicle registration if anyone needs help with DMV services. We have the state tax board here if people need tax assistance, health insurance, and even for veterans. So if veterans need assistance, they can come here and get help as well. It's really a one-stop shop for everybody.
The line has been growing since 8 a.m. as people wait for a chance to speak with officials about getting assistance, especially financial aid.
As of today, we've approved up to $195 million for businesses, homeowners, renters, and nonprofits that were impacted by this disaster.
The fact that we're here in the Altadena area gives us the opportunity to meet people where they are.
After thousands of victims lost their homes in the flames, emergency center staffers say they are here to stay and help.
We will show up every time there is a disaster, and we will show up ready to provide cash grants. This is money that does not need to be repaid. And the reason why we've extended these services is to make sure that we can find ways to fit whatever each applicant might need.
You know, we're going to be here as long as the need exists. We're not here just to come in and out in the blink of an eye. We're here to provide long-term recovery for those that were impacted by the fires.
In Altadena, California, Zach Bradshaw, Cronkite News.
On the East Coast, Punxsutawney Phil made his annual Groundhog's Day prediction.
That's right. An estimated 40,000 waited for the infamous groundhog to predict if we will see 6 more weeks of winter or an early spring. And for the 107th time, Phil emerged from his home in Gobbler's Knob and saw his shadow. According to the legend, we'll have 6 more weeks of winter. This is his first Groundhog's Day as a father. In March 2024, Punxsutawney Phil and his mate Phyllis welcomed 2 pups named Sunny and Shadow.
While Punxsutawney Phil says we are going to get 6 more weeks of winter, it sure doesn't feel like it here in the valley.
Mahir Sinhasan joins us now from the Cronkite Weather Center with what we can expect for the rest of the week.
Guys, I know we're getting 6 more weeks of winter, but it feels like springtime here in the valley as we have temperatures sitting around 79 degrees and working its way down to 68 around 10 o'clock. And it's going to lead to an even better time during the night, especially if you like some cooler temperatures. Window Rock 31, Grand Canyon 28, your only cities across the entire state that are going to be below freezing. In the southern side, Gila Bend 51, Ajo 50. Back here in the valley, it's going to be 53. And we're going to have some nice temperatures into Tuesday as well. Grand Canyon 62, Window Rock 66, Globe at 77. Back here in the valley, it's going to be 85 degrees, especially after last week where we saw temperatures really hanging around the 60s overall. A chance for some cloud coverage into Tuesday as well, especially around rush hour. Bam, look at this. From the Utah border down to the Mexico border, this entire stretch just covering the entire state of Arizona. But after that, no matter where you are, it's going to be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. No precipitation as well. As we take a look at our 8-day forecast here in the valley, temperatures currently in the 80s headed into Thursday, I should say. But after that, it's going to be really, really nice as temperatures dip back into the 70s. Saturday 78, Sunday 75 if you want to host a Super Bowl party, and then 73 on Tuesday. That will do it for your Cronkite News Weather Report. I'm Mahir Sinhasan. Back to you at the desk.
And coming up next, the Mercury were very busy over the weekend.
There were several additions and departures that are sure to change the trajectory of the team. Everything you need to know from the official start of the WNBA's free agency signing period after the break and what it means for the Mercury.
Good evening and welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Andres Armenta. The 2025 WM Phoenix Open tees off this week, and there are changes coming to this year's tournament after things got a little out of hand last year. Cronkite News reporter Ben Paris spoke with tournament chairman Matt Mooney to get you ready for the event.
Getting ready for the 2025 WM Phoenix Open, joined by the chairman this year, Matt Mooney. Matt, thanks for taking some time with us this morning.
Yeah, great to be with you guys.
You guys had a tough year last year because of the weather conditions, making a lot of the parts of this stadium golf course kind of unusable for fans. What was the key to kind of breaking down what happened last year, making the right adjustments for this year?
Yeah, I think, we try to filter all of our changes through two lenses, the fan experience, the player experience. And I think to your point, last year gave us some unique insights with just the insane weather that we experienced for a few days. And so it was a good year, even, despite the fact that we know a lot of the issues were weather related, to make some changes we've thought about for a while. And so having this new entrance will give us more optionality for fans.
The proximity to 16, 17, 18 is going to be really helpful.
All right, Matt, we're at a real hub of the golf course right now. We got 11 right behind us, 16 to our right. We got 10 right here, and then, of course, 17 over here. This is where a lot of people kind of congregate during the tournament, and this kind of walkway has been extended. A lot of people got pretty muddy in this area last year, but it's going to be able to handle some more people this year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this is kind of the nucleus of the golf course right here, and we were really easy decision to make a pretty significant investment, double the size of these cart paths. We reworked these concessions a little bit, shrunk the bleachers, so we feel really good about the fact that, now kind of regardless of the weather, that people are going to have a lot more room to maneuver.
They're going to do that much safer this year. It's going to be easier with a lot more space. We're going to head inside the Coliseum and take a look at the loudest hole in golf. All right, we've made it inside the 16th hole at TPC Scottsdale Coliseum hole. Now let's get into the golf for the 2025 tournament. The world #1 Scotty Scheffler, two-time champion, is returning. Two of the best amateur golfers in the game are going to be here. Plenty of crowd favorites. Max Homa, Ricky Fowler. Got a great field again this year.
Yeah, we're really thrilled about our field. I think it'll be one of our strongest fields ever. And to your point, Scotty Scheffler's a pretty darn good headliner, having won the event twice, almost won it 3 times. In a row last year, and so we're glad he's back in good health and going to lead us off.
It's going to be a great week. The weather's supposed to be spectacular, much better than the rain and the showers last year. Could get up to the mid-80s. We're in Scottsdale getting ready for the WM Phoenix Open. For Cronkite News, I'm Ben Paris.
The WM Phoenix Open gets going Wednesday with the Annexes Pro-Am, followed by the first round on Thursday. Today marks the start of Super Bowl week as Super Bowl 59 kicks off this Sunday in New Orleans, Louisiana, a city that has more familiarity to hosting the sports mega event than nearly the entire country. Our Max Cepeda is in the Big Easy this week and has more.
Thanks so much, guys, and welcome to the heart of the Bayou as we are here inside the Morial Convention Center and the Super Bowl Media Center, where thousands of media personnel from all around the world begin to cover this historic matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles. In addition, this marks the historic 11th time that the Super Bowl has come to the city of New Orleans, tying itself with Miami, Florida, for the most Super Bowls hosted all time. And in addition, all of the great storylines on the field, with the Chiefs possibly having a historic chance at a three-peat, while the Eagles, of course, look to get revenge against Kansas City from their matchup in Glendale 2 short years ago. Reporting from inside the Morial Convention Center in the heart of downtown New Orleans, Max Cepeda, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Max. In addition to the anticipation surrounding the big game, the city of New Orleans is also on high alert from a security standpoint, particularly following the events of the Bourbon Street terrorist attacks on New Year's Eve. It has been nearly 3 weeks since the incident that killed 14 people on January 1st, which led to the one-day postponement of the 2025 All-State Sugar Bowl between Notre Dame and Georgia. However, New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell made it clear that that tragic night made the city even more prepared for the NFL's biggest stage.
And the first comment made to me from the NFL was that they wanted to make sure that the soul and the spirit of New Orleans was unshaken as well. And so I want to say thank you, because the focus was on this city, her people, but also recognizing that when we come together, we're stronger together.
The WNBA free agency signing period officially opened on Saturday. Yesterday, the Mercury officially announced the additions of Alyssa Thomas and Satou Sabally, who were acquired via trade. The trade was a 4-team deal involving the Mercury, the Dallas Wings, the Connecticut Sun, and the Indiana Fever. The Mercury received Thomas from the Sun and Sabally, Kalani Brown, and Sevgi Uzun from the Wings. The Mercury also traded away Natasha Cloud and Rebecca Allen to the Sun, Sophie Cunningham and the number 19 pick in the 2025 draft to the Fever, and the reserved rights to Makia Herbert Harrigan and the number 12 pick in the 2025 draft to the Dallas Wings. Acquiring Alyssa Thomas and Satou Sabally is huge for the Mercury. Thomas is a 6-time All-Defensive Team and 3-time All-WNBA selection. Last season, she finished 5th in the MVP voting, while averaging 10.6 points, 8.4 rebounds, and 7.9 assists. Sabally is the 2023 Most Improved Player. She also was named to the All-WNBA team in 2023 and is a 2-time WNBA All-Star. Although she didn't play until after the Olympic break in 2024 due to injury, Sabally still was 2nd on the team in scoring, averaging 17.9 points per game. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably already heard of what many are dubbing the biggest trade in NBA history. Over the weekend, Luka Doncic was traded to the Lakers in exchange for Anthony Davis. And like many of us, Suns star Kevin Durant also couldn't believe the blockbuster trade.
Insane, it's crazy. Yeah, would have never thought Luka Doncic would get traded at this age, mid-season. Yes, NBA is a wild place, man. If he can get traded, then anybody's up, for grabs,
If the rivalry already ran deep, Saturday's matchup between Arizona and Arizona State added even more lure to an already historic matchup. Cooper Holman has more on what was a tense Territorial Cup game.
A new chapter in the storied Arizona State rivalry was written on Saturday. The bitter rivals went back and forth in the early afternoon, but with a few bruises along the way, it was the Wildcats who came out on top, securing the 81-72 win. The physicality throughout the game led both teams to forego the post-game handshake line, a decision that Arizona State head coach Bobby Hurley stood by.
I just saw that it was very heated, and I thought that there was possibilities that something else could have happened, and I was going to avoid that, and wanted to avoid any further confrontation at the end of the game.
After no teeth thriller against Iowa State earlier this week, the Wildcats came up to Tempe for a showdown versus the in-state rival Arizona State Sun Devils. Here in Tempe, the Wildcats were able to secure the victory, move to 15-6, and secure a 9-1 record in conference play, solidifying themselves as a favorite in the Big 12. With the Wildcats surging, a few of their players will be considered for all conference. Well, maybe not if you ask Bobby Hurley.
I can tell you this, I do get a vote for all conference, and I can tell you who's not getting a vote.
The in-state rivals will meet again on March 4th in Tucson, marking the 250th matchup between the two schools. If Game 1 was any indicator, March Madness might be coming early in Arizona. In Tempe, Cooper Holman, Cronkite News.
Fans and media members took to social media to share their thoughts on the Devils' late-game antics. And, well, the overwhelming consensus wasn't so positive, with many calling for the end of the Bobby Hurley era. The Devils are currently 12-9 overall and 3-7 in conference play, so the leash could be much shorter for Hurley. That's all for tonight's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Andres. Coming up next, a look at music's biggest night.
That's right, the biggest names in music stepped out for the 67th Annual Grammy Awards on Sunday night. Historic wins, the LA fires, and social issues took center stage. Hear more about who took home the biggest wins coming up next.
I grew up in a small border town, and water was really important to us. Without enough water, we can't farm, we can't eat, we can't live. And the way we're doing it right now, straight up doesn't have a future. I went to ASU because this is a place where you solve problems.
With vertical farming, we can grow the same amount of food with 95% less water than traditional farming. The work I'm doing at ASU is changing the way I look at the world.
Innovation at the Walter Cronkite School is pushing the boundaries of traditional journalism.
Storytelling has evolved over the years. This is part of that evolution.
Students in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab are using emerging technology to create scenes in augmented and virtual reality, coding playable games, and bringing the audience into the story.
They're only limited by their imagination and their willingness to learn.
Find out more at cronkite.asu.edu.
Welcome back. The Grammys hosted the 67th award show on Sunday night.
And artists like Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar made award show history. After being nominated 4 times for Best Album of the Year, Beyonce finally secured her win for her album Cowboy Carter. Beyonce won 3 awards last night, including Best Country Album, making her the first black artist in history to win the award. Kendrick Lamar took home the most awards last night with 5 wins for his Drake diss track Not Like Us, and Chappell Roan won Best New Artist. That's it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm Jacob Seaver.
And I'm Leah Phillips. Thank you for joining us.
And to see Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.